Hey, Rainmakers, how you guys doing? MadLab crew, Greg Mack with Rainmaker Podcast. Hope you're doing well. Hey, I wanted to in this podcast and maybe some of the next several installments. We're going to talk about and what it means to be a team, what the difference between teams and groups are. And so I want to go with you. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we've got a team building program with MadLab really want to go to the next level in terms of their success and to meet their business objectives. If they've even got them iterated, what we find one of the big differences between team and group is groups don't really have clear objectives and clear role responsibility, team member defined. And so if you're struggling with that and you've got this kind of pie in the sky sort of worked out team goal, this process, and you're not sure exactly where you want to go, the team building process, Rainmaker 301 will help you, because is your gym and the way that it runs, the culture, a mob, a discombobulated group of people that just kind of like action and showing up periodically to the same place and time and space to show people how to exercise and exercise themselves and kind of lead to each other and civil? Or maybe not. Maybe you're a gym and you've got personnel, staff, full-time, part-time utility coaches that really aren't all that on board with what you're doing, and they're kind of operating on their own little and don't seem too interested in participating. And maybe there's some gossip and hearsay floating around your gym between your staff. This isn't cool. This is a mob. A group is just above a mob. And in fact, only because, they tend to kind of like each other and want to show up and do their thing and make a little bit of money and then go home. And that's about it. And then you've got team. And team is distinct from group. And I often hear groups of people call themselves teams. They're not. They're just using the word. We're a team. But when we look at the definition of team, and the team definition we use is very specific. And what a team is a group of interacting, interdependent, interconnected people committed to a common purpose that choose to cooperate to achieve exceptional results. Now, this is fundamental to the idea of, and we want to differentiate between a mob, the large, unruly, disorderly crowd of folks, and then a group assembled together, having some kind of unifying relationship, but it's a little vague and disconnected to a team which of interdependency, meaning that each team member individually must rely on members to do their jobs and to do them well in order for their job, their role responsibilities to be met. Interacting, meaning that they regularly communicate with each other and talk and discuss and share and rethink what they're doing to try to be connected and interconnected, with their passion. They're interconnected with career goals and ambitions. And the next word, if you remember, is committed. And this is an easy word to use, not often an easy word to live, because that's all you can ask really from your own clients, right? And your own members of your facilities is effort and commitment. Whether they actually achieve the things they want, well, a lot of that you can't control. But if they're committed and they show up even when they don't want to and do the things they want to and put forth the effort even when they're tired, your probability of success goes up exponentially. Does everybody in your gym know why they show up every day? What you're trying to achieve? What is the task? This needs to be specified, clarified, and written down so everybody can see and understand it. And of course, they've got to choose in their free will and cooperate at the highest level. Cooperation is the key. If for a moment anyone in the team withdraws their cooperation, you've now degraded the idea of team and the concept of team. And so cooperation is the key to team process, because teams are about harnessing the highest possible level of cooperation between humans to achieve a mutually agreed upon objective. And so teams are about getting things done at the highest possible level. And we love to watch this on sports enthusiast and fan, and you got a favorite team possibly, and you're hoping that they achieve the highest possible results, playoffs and championships and trophies and all kinds of things like this. And so we love to watch teams that perform because it's such a magical, powerful thing to see. And so we've developed Rainmaker 301 to help you as a gym owner and the staff of gyms to discover and learn what the underlying principles are and practices of high performance teamwork, to start to engage in deeper discussion amongst your group and team so that you can figure out how performance is actually measured. And MadLab does a great job giving you the metrics, right, about how much of this and how much of that and what churn rate should be and what retention should look like and the relationship between those two and measuring behaviors. Very important. What makes an action plan actionable, and harnessing the effectiveness of this idea of interdependent, interconnected, interacting choice versus typically what occurs is the mediocrity in most groups. In fact, I remember listening to an interview with Bill Gates, and the interviewer was asking Bill Gates, what's the biggest problem in modern corporations and businesses today? And he said mediocrity. Why? Why is mediocrity the biggest problem? Because you have personnel staff who are just doing enough to get by. They're not so bad that it's obvious they need to be fired, but they're really not doing much more than the minimum to get by every day. And so they do not contribute the team task, the purpose of the corporation. And so they just hang out and kind of drag down the organization to the lowest possible denominator. And so what we're trying to do with team, and I'm going to start rolling out some ideas with team, but we had to help you really get your head around this, is to sit down with your staff and figure out what you're doing and what your goal is, what your task is, because teams are about tasks and identifying tasks and completing them and moving to get that task done with as much role clarity as possible, so there's no confusion, doubts, or misunderstandings about what. And so much of the problem in groupthink in terms of gym ownerships and any corporation is assumption. Somebody else is doing something, or you're assuming somebody else knows what to do. You're assuming some other task is being taken care of by somebody, and it's not, because they do it, right? It's called following the follower. And so this is a huge problem in businesses. And so the work and the heavy lifting required to build pays such huge long-term dividends and captures a synergy of interaction that people on the outside the team can produce in terms of output. They shake their heads because they can't understand how such a few number of people did as much as and that's how it should look with a high functioning team, is that things are getting done at levels that group simply can't do and that individual. And so that's an important construct. And so, when we talk about Rainmaker 301, it's got a relation to Rainmaker 201, which is essentially a communication course, interviewing, selling, if you want to call it that, on how to interact with individual humans in your community, so that they get to make a decision about, and you get to help them make a decision about whether or not you should be in a relationship. And again, what defines that relationship? What's the point? What's the purpose? outside of the one-on-one nature of it, let alone the relationship of what that one-on-one dynamic, the overall team task for the entire gym and all of its staff. And so we'll roll out some ideas in just a few weeks, but we are looking right now actively for folks to jump in to the formal classical training and team building that are in hot standby right now. And so if you really want to go to the next level, you got to do it. I don't know what to tell you. So you can go to the Web Hub. You can talk to your imp about submitting an application. We're not going to take everybody. Not everybody's ready for this team building process. And so we're going to do some interviews, make sure you're ready. And so we can set ourselves up for success, because that's what teams do. Teams set up on purpose. And so we're going to help you do that fundamentally with the 301 program following your completion of the 201. So we can get you to the next level and you can have an exciting, dynamic team where things are just getting done. You don't need a lot of team meetings to get things to do. Early on, there's some heavy lifting in terms of getting the momentum and the inertia going. But once that maximizing approach is taken and the hard work is laying the foundation for how the team task is defined and how members will work together and communicate together, it should just start flowing like mercury. Should just go, man. So Rainmaker 301, tune in to some future podcasts. We're going to talk some more about team building and hopefully your ambitions.